Welcome to the Strange Motion Way podcast. I am Tim Strange, along with my hostess with the mostest,
Carrie Strange.
We're going to be bringing you a lot of interviews with custom people, hot rodders, street rodders, some drag racers. Yes, we're going to include some BMX, and
Cats.
our other co-hosts are Turbo and Axel.
All right, Tim, let's get it started.
Welcome back for another episode of the Strange Motion Way podcast. I am Tim Strange, and usually my hostess with the mostest is Carrie Strange sitting here beside me. But today I am going to interview her, get you her stories, things that she's done, a lot of things that she does in the hot rod industry in the BMX world. We also have our co-host today, Turbo.
Hi, Turbo.
He's very
He's not thrilled.
He's not very excited here. And if you hear a bell in the background, he is sneaking up right now because he's pretty jealous of one cat getting on screen, is our kitten Axel. So he runs around like he's crazy. So if you see stuff bouncing around, it's probably Axel.
Or big crashes.
Yes. So this is actually take two. When you live with the person that you interviewed 2 nights ago, they are the high-tech person, and they could listen to it and say, you know, I forgot about this, I forgot about this, I forgot about this, and I forgot about this. And we talked for an hour and 20 minutes the other day.
We did.
So now, around here in front of us, she has lists of things that she wants. We got most of these, but there's a few things that we did miss. I forgot that one and that one and this one and this one.
That one.
So, yeah, cats are fighting over here now. So, welcome to the Strange Motion Way podcast, Miss Carrie Strange. How are you?
Well, thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me.
We did have some people send in some questions, and we got some more just coming in now. I've messaged a few people this morning that were redoing this. And my sister wants to know how you've put up with me for all these years, and you don't drink. No answer to that? You're still trying to figure that out, aren't you?
Well, let's just say that check that your dad sends, that helps.
As they say, $5 is $5.
$5 is $5.
And my BMX buddy Bart Jennings asked pretty much the same thing, but I read it differently as, how did you get so lucky?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And this is my first hashtag on the social medias, and I do it with a lot of my buddies because a lot of us car guys, have married up quite a few notches. So this is hot chicks with low standards. I'm totally fine. She has low standards. So let's get started and get a little bit about your story. We probably met. When do you think that we remember meeting the first time?
It wasn't an official meet. Like, we were at the same place.
Yeah.
We were at a BMX
young.
race in Orion, Illinois. You were racing. My cousin was racing. I don't think my brother was racing at the time. I think my mom was with my Aunt Shirley, and we all went over for to watch my cousin and support my cousin race. And that was the first time I laid eyes on you.
But you were just little Carrie.
Yeah. It was illegal at that time.
Yeah, we won't say how the age difference, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm going to marry this girl someday. It was just, I was really good friends with your cousin, and we ran around a lot together, your cousin Matt Olson, and went to a lot of bike races together.
They're beating each other up over here.
Yeah, the cats are fighting. So then also, our family ran a Christmas tree. You paying attention here?
I am.
A Christmas tree farm. So people in the area from many counties would come and get Christmas trees from our family.
Yep.
And tell the story about your mom.
So we went out, and it was the go out and pick your own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was me, my cousins, pretty sure Tammy was there. Tammy, Emily, Katie, and Aunt Karen, and my mom.
Did you say Tammy?
Tammy, I think
that's
I did.
a cool name.
It's not. Her name's Tammy.
I know.
But we went out to the pick your own Christmas tree, which for 2 females and a bunch of hellion kids, that was a lot. These nice gentlemen. Put the trees, both of the trees in the trunk. I think it was my mom's Monte Carlo.
Did I ask your mom, you better have a big trunk because I'm putting my tree in it?
Probably. Probably.
Probably not. I used to be shy. I know it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But...
I honestly, I think it was your dad. We're going to blame your dad on this one. But we got back to Oneida, and we were going to one of the houses. I don't remember, but anyway, the trees fell out of the trunk, and my mom got her eye poked with a wrench and scratched her retina, and that was your guys' fault.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably was. I was not a Boy Scout. I could never tie knots.
Dramatic.
I could never tie knots. But speaking of the Christmas tree, Carrie's kind of a Christmas nerd around the house. I am kind of a Scrooge bah humbug because I grew up on a Christmas tree farm. So allegedly, Christmas trees 4 or 3 foot or bigger this last Christmas. There was 14 in the house, 2 in the living room, 1 in our bedroom. There's 1 over here that stays up year round because it was my mom's Christmas tree farm. So we leave that one up in memory of my mom, and we decorate it in sunflowers, as long as the cats leave the sunflowers on there. And then we have another one that she decorates for all the seasons and Valentine's Day. And did you decorate it for Easter? You missed that, didn't you?
I didn't, because it's one of those pre-lit trees and the lights are all going out of it. So I need to go take the time and cut them all off because I'm too cheap to buy another one. So no, it did not get decorated for Easter. I'm a little heartbroken for that. But we also have another tree that we have in the hallway that I leave up year round now, and it's our pet tree. So all of our past pets' ornaments are on it, and it's like our memorial tree for our pets because our pets are our kids.
Okay, so pop-up questions in and out of the interviews of the stuff, that guidelines that you have. Mm-hmm. How many years have we been married?
28.
Are you sure? Did you do math right?
Well, that blanket over there says that we were married in 1996. And I don't have to be smart because I'm pretty.
That's right. That's right, kids. If you're pretty, you can be dumb, but stay in school. This year's 28.
This year's 28.
Because in August.
Yeah, in August.
So the easiest way to stay married is just let your wife do whatever. No, Carrie is a result of free-range parenting. They just let her do what just let her go wild out in the streets of the small towns. And we do the same thing with our wife here at the Strange Motion household. You just let her be. She's had 75 different hairstyles since we've been married.
That is the cheapest
way to get a new wife.
And today, I do apologize, but this is not my excitement look. I'm getting my hair done tomorrow. She's had to cancel on me a couple times, so let's hope and pray.
I must be hungry because the multicolors right now and that's sticking up in the air kind of looks like a banana cream pie on the top of your head.
You did not just call my hair banana cream pie.
I did.
Okay. Well, everybody, when I showed up, I think it was LS Fest West this year, Jeremy, started calling me the Cabbage Patch Kid.
Well, your name usually when your hair was short and spiky on the radio, because everybody has a nickname, was Piney. For Porcupine.
Unless you're Jimmy Day, and then he calls me Porky.
That's he could get in trouble.
He did that once.
He'd get in trouble for that.
But no, somebody did ask. One of the questions was about my badass hair. And I have the philosophy
Tiffany Swanson that I went to high school, not Swanson anymore, but I went to high school.
Yep.
And she wanted to know about Carrie's hair.
Yeah. So I have the philosophy that it's hair. It will grow back. It doesn't matter. I don't really care. Obviously, I've got this wonderful gem here, so I don't need to impress anybody.
And I can't see for shit because
exactly.
My mom was right.
Neither one of us can see anymore.
You keep doing that, you'll go blind. My mom was right.
You're half blind anyway. Yeah. But yeah, no, I've always neither one of us have until last year have gone anywhere to get our hair done. I've always cut both of our hair, because it'll grow back. We've had some messed up haircuts. Chelsea, Vickery, Ken to one time, Tim was cutting my hair on my ears and did that.
She had like a little patch going up there, and Chelsea laughed till she cried most of the weekend.
But you know what? It grew back, and it doesn't kill me. And I'm just too cheap. My hair's too short. I did start going to get it colored because I started I'm getting older, and I think the gray is starting to set in a little bit, which I'm okay with age. I'm not trying to hide it, but I like the blonde.
Scott Moreland was the first one and told you your hair was starting gray.
Asshole. Sorry. But I don't like the yellow look. So I just find a wonderful lady here in town. Unfortunately, her schedule and mine don't jive real well. But anyway, that's about hair.
But when you cut my hair, that's your business idea. Yeah. She does it topless.
Sometimes.
You would think it sounds amazing, but there's usually hair all over her chest, so it makes Carrie look like she has a hairy chest.
Yeah. I don't like
more than normal.
I don't like to get hair on my clothes. So Yeah. Then you topless, you get in the shower, wash it off. It's all gone. It's easy to clean up.
Okay, so again, as you were back in school, high school, you were a cheerleader.
Yeah. You don't want to start about like the day I was born, that wonderful fall day in October 19th, 1975. Let's start there.
Oh, you just sold your age because other people can do math.
I don't care. I have nothing to
Okay,
hide.
so let's touch on the story. Not the story. We're not going to tell the story, but are you going to show the picture? You had that up.
I don't have that. Let me see if I can find
it. The other
it
night when you did this first time. There's a story about Carrie and her getting me, but we're trying to keep this PG. So some of our stories that we share with our friends. Some of you guys
have seen this picture. Some of you have not. Let's see if I can get it.
So Carrie is just showing her. Is this child pornography that we're just showing?
It might be.
That's Carrie's nipples as a child. But there's a story behind that. They dropped you off the changing table as a kid, and I think you hit your head.
Technically, they said I rolled off because if they drop me, that's probably abuse.
Their stories.
It changes every time we talk about it. You've heard the same story,
and your mom changed the story totally last year.
Last time we changed it, or last time we told it, it completely got changed. But anyhow, somehow the changing table is here. Carrie ended up down there. Something to do with the growth bone in my leg. I don't even remember which leg it was at the time. Anyhow, they casted me from my chest down to alter my growth.
To stunt your growth.
Stunt my growth. So that's why I'm short. I have a reason that I'm short, so don't make fun of me.
So it's like those TikTok videos where the tall guy puts the camera, the husband, and the short wife. Have you seen that? Look, like I'm saying, give me ups, give me ups. Yeah, that's what it is around here. She's a foot shorter than me.
Yeah.
But the smaller they are, the meaner they are.
But they really thought that putting me in that cast was going to... My mom thought, oh, I got this easy now. My child's in a cast. She ain't going nowhere. Oh, hell no. Carrie fashion, okay? Carrie is not told no. And if there is something that you say that she can't do, she's going to do it to prove you wrong. So here I go. I had the strongest arms, and I would just do this, and I would get myself and carry that cast all through the house.
Carrie hates being told so much to do. She won't use the timer on the oven even when making a frozen pizza. Why? Because nobody's going to tell you what to do.
I don't like people telling me what to do.
Yeah, I eat.
I struggle. That is a weakness that I have, and I am working on it. Yeah, I am. I am working on it.
You're a cheerleader.
Yep.
In all the way through school.
Yep, cheerleading captain.
And at one time, I was not at that. We were not dating yet then. But how old were you when you got dropped during a basketball timeout?
I think that was my junior year. Maybe it was my senior year. No, it was my junior because Amy Hatch was there.
We were dating when we were junior and senior. I don't think.
Okay.
Maybe it was sophomore year.
Sophomore.
It was right before we started going out, I think.
Maybe it was. Yeah. But yeah, it was halftime. Not halftime. It was timeout. And we were doing a cow pop.
Nobody knows what that is. Okay.
Well, cheerleaders do. And I came down. It was like quick. The guys were coming back out. And woo, we all went down. And Carrie went down. I had to crawl off. Actually, I was laying on the basketball court.
And they just left you there.
And, well, they ran off. They didn't know. They just thought I fell down. I was going to get back up because I fall down all the time. And the coach was like, you got to move. You can't be out there. And I couldn't move my legs. I could move my legs, but I couldn't put any pressure on them. So, trip to the ER. Their option was put me in a wheelchair for a couple of days because I couldn't walk both legs, both ankles. I broke one, and
then the bones on the top of your feet are all like they're weird. They're all on top of each other. And
I've hurt my ankles.
It was not a good doctor you had.
Feet. Well, I did it a lot. Like I was constantly hurting myself. I was that child.
It's not changed.
No, I mean I had an older brother, so like stunts happened. You know, like we played hard, we played rough. We were not wimps as kids. We were free-range parenting. So, and I say that with all good. My parents were awesome. My dad was an over-the-road truck driver. I was a daddy's girl. Loved my dad to death. But he was gone a lot.
When we were dating, where was Carrie getting picked up for a date? Because which parents didn't give her way this week, and then she'd go stay at the other parents' house. That's the story I remember.
No, that's not it at all. Maybe a little bit. But no, my dad was gone a lot. My mom worked, so my brother, I had an older brother. He had to take care of me because my parents had to put food on the table. Then we moved into town. That's when we lived out in the country. Then we moved into town, and my cousins lived on the other side. Emily was my best friend. I was growing up as my cousin, and we were all over the place. My dad had a huge family, and we went out and rode our bikes. That's what we did as kids. And we were supposed to be home when the streetlights came on, but we didn't.
And one time when you were out riding your bicycles in town.
Oh, so Emily, my mom and my Aunt Karen were out on a walk, because they decided every 3 or 4 months they were going to get healthy and exercise. And they walked to the cemetery. That was always where what everybody did in Oneida. And there was a game going on at the school, and I can't remember the lady's name, but Jeff Kramer was in the car. And Emily and I were going around the corner, and they decided to pull out, and I got hit by a car. Emily took off because she didn't want to get in trouble. And I didn't know what to do. I'm laying there like, that hurt. So young kids, she was kind of freaking out a little bit. I got up, got on my bike, and rode home. We ended up in the ER that night. And we did have to go out to her house. But I think I broke my foot then too. So I just, I do stupid stuff all the time. But tough. So it's okay.
Another thing people probably did not know about you, small town, you lived in the country some, I lived in the country, and you were an FFA kid.
I was.
Future Farmers of America for you city slickers.
I still have my FFA jacket. Funny story, actually, a couple of years ago, my cousin Katie sends me this message because her kids are little rednecks, farm kids. Ag kids. And they're really good. They show cattle all the time, and but anyway, they're at the FFA banquet, and they have the brochure, and it has all the past outstanding seniors from FFA, and voila, my name was there. And she's like, "What in the world is this?" Like, she had no idea.
Were you the only senior?
I was not. I had a wonderful ag teacher, Mr. Tiffany, and taught me a lot. I've seen some posts here recently from people gearing up for ag, and what is that? It starts with a P.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a competition in ag. Oh, my brain. Anyway, there's a contest getting ready to start with FFA.
With an animal?
No, it's like
a debate thing?
Yes. What's it called?
It doesn't start with a P.
Parliamentary
procedure.
Yes.
I was terrible at that.
Yeah, I
hated that.
We had to go do that. But yeah, Donna.
Our FFA was good. We were good dirt judgers, where they dug the hole in the ground and judged the dirt.
Yep.
We won that competition when I was in school.
Yeah. So I was an outstanding senior for FFA.
And then you worked in high school.
I did.
I worked at the lovely Taco Bell. Which Carrie's addicted to tacos. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really eat a lot of tacos growing up until I started dating Carrie. I don't think, other than at my grandma's, we had some chicken because she raised chickens. I don't think I ever chicken wings till we started dating. My dad hated chicken, so we ate what we raised and we didn't have chicken. So it was weird.
You didn't have chicken nuggets?
No.
You didn't go to McDonald's, have chicken nuggets?
No.
Okay,
we so poor.
Another story growing up.
McDonald's was for rich people.
That was, so I don't know if your parents did this, but my aunt and my mom, every single Saturday, that was the thing, is we'd go out and we would do yard sales, and which we as kids said that was child abuse. So they would drag us around from yard sale to yard sale to yard sale to yard sale, buy stuff we didn't need. And then if we were good at all the yard sales, they would take us to McDonald's.
So you never got to McDonald's, because I'm sure you little shits were not good.
Because it was me and Mona and Tara and my brother. And so then we'd go to McDonald's for chicken nuggets, and Tara would always have to have a cheeseburger. And then after that, then we would go get groceries and whatever else we needed for the week. And then we would end up back at Jimmy's Pizza on every Saturday afternoon at 4:00 for the card drawing. I know. Yeah, that was my life. So.
But you worked your way up.
I did.
To assistant manager.
Yep.
You had to be an assistant manager. This is what young people have no idea even what an answering machine is. But part of the requirements was you had to have an answering machine. At that time, You must have gotten in a fight with your parents. Your dad was already moved to
my
Arizona.
dad had moved to Arizona. Yeah,
And,
my senior year, right after my senior year, my dad moved to Arizona, and I was living with my dad.
Well, when you needed the answering machine, you were living in my sister's old room because she was off at college.
Right. So yeah, my dad moved to Arizona, so it was either me move to Arizona with my dad, and we break up, or I move in with your parents and we stay together. So, did I make the right call?
Not sure. Still.
Yes. So I moved in with your mom and dad. I was living in your sister's room, assistant manager at Taco Bell. And one of the requirements to be an assistant manager was you had to have an answering machine. And I almost had to quit my job because Dan refused to have an answering machine in his home. We didn't have cell phones back then. They needed to get a hold of me. They needed to be able to call and leave a message. So if something happened and they needed me at the store, they would be able to get a hold of me. And that's how they got a hold of you, is an answering machine at home. He finally did cave. And we got an answering machine at the Strange household. That was like the first step for technology for the Stranges. So yeah. And then I got transferred. I was in Galesburg on Henderson Street. And they decided to transfer me to Avenue of the Cities in the Quad Cities. And being a small town Oneida girl going to the big city, I wasn't having it. I think I walked in that store and I worked one afternoon and I walked out.
You also kind of had a creeper, like general or manager, that you said something about and nobody believed you. And 6 months later, he got in trouble for doing creeper stuff.
There was some creeper stuff going on at Taco Bell. But
yeah.
Now I can't even walk in the place.
Yeah, you love tacos, but you will not eat Taco Bell.
Taco Bell's not tacos. That's not Mexican. And as Tiffany would say, that's not Mexican food. Canada. Worlds. Yeah. 2007. We'll get there later.
So you also worked at Sporting Goods Place, and you did embroidery?
I did. Mainly what I did, when I worked at CII, that's where I was working at when we got married. I ran it all. It was husband and wife company. And I did a little bit of everything there. But then I learned the digitizing side of things. And that's when I moved up to Breedlove's in Kewanee and was doing the digitizing of.
You worked with Jen Regula then?
Yep.
And Mike Regula, which Mike, long been friends with him forever. He does our seats now because you don't have time to do our seats.
Yep.
And went to a whole bunch of punk rock shows with Jen and Mike. Mm-hmm. I remember you and Jen would see who was going to play.
Or we'd win tickets. Too. We did that. We tried to listen to the radio. And
the House of Blues in Chicago, which was 2.5 hours away. And you'd call me, and Mike get off early because he goes in really early. Mm-hmm. And I could close the shop a little early. And we would leave at like 3:30 and drive all the way to downtown Chicago to House of Blues, see a punk rock show, and drive all the way back home. We did that, I don't know, a lot. 10 times or something over a few years. And now we're too old for that. But just get a wild hair and go, good punk rock show in Chicago. Let's go.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, Mike's still good friends with Jen and Mike still does our seats for our stuff. And then, so then you kind of did some embroidery at home through the years, kind of bouncing around a little bit.
I worked with, I was working on a project with a guy, and we actually bought a sewing machine. I have cat hair in my mouth.
An embroidery machine.
And I did. I actually still have that embroidery machine. So
I remember
Tim wants me to play around with it a little bit and do stuff all the time, but I don't have time. So unfortunately, it just sits there.
But that was a guy that had this idea and this logo copyrighted and
Yeah, we were going to start a clothing company. I don't remember the name of it. It doesn't matter.
Something devil, something, which was perfect
like
for you.
It was.
And then you worked in the shop, obviously, too.
Yep.
Did upholstery.
Yep.
I always say it's like 15 years almost you did upholstery for 3/4 of your time.
I did.
In there also, you were a Hooters girl in Peoria, Illinois.
Yep. So that was a day in the shop. We were out there. And it was different because everybody always asks, how did we work together? Like, how do you work with your spouse? My mom worked with my stepdad every day. It's hard to do. If anybody tells you it's easy, they're lying to you. But Tim and I, we had an L-shaped shop, and his side was over here, my side was over here, and we literally would meet in the office for questions or lunch. It was like we weren't together all the time. We were just in the same area. So I did interior in the shop for several years. And it was okay. I enjoyed doing it. What I didn't enjoy was the deadline, uh, unrealistic deadlines that got put on the upholstery person. And everything was always last minute for the interior, and it was a second thought. Like, people didn't go into a build with the interior being like their first thought. So there's a lot of things that happened that just fell back on me, and the stress level was through the roof.
It wasn't bad when we did the full build, and you could do
Right.
mock-up when the car was in primer, but you still did upholstery for other people. And
Yeah.
the painter guy took too long, and this guy took too much money. And
Yeah.
like we had like one of the guy, when you quit doing upholstery the first time, basically, we had a guy that was months behind his appointment. We told him we couldn't do it because we were finishing another car for SEMA.
Yep.
And he still called and said, "I'm bringing it. The guy's on the way."
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't do it. And he's like, "We have sponsors, and they expect the car to be at SEMA,
mm-hmm.
and we will sue you if the car's not there because, we
I
already told him that he was 3 months past when his appointment was."
Yeah, when we made the deal to do the car, it was, it has to be here by this date. If it's not here, can't do it. And then he called me. The truck was en route with the car, and
he said his truck driver was just going to sleep in the truck
there
till it was done, because it shouldn't take you very long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of hot rods.
So many times you found me sitting in that car bawling my eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point we decided, the car got to SEMA.
The car that I was working on, it was a historic custom.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up bringing in Dave Martinez to help on that car because he was awesome, still as traditional custom builder guy. So he came and helped and brought his dog Cisco. I remember that.
Yep.
And that was. And then the guy didn't have any money to pay for that upholstery job.
No, he expected it after the fact that I was just going to donate my time.
Yeah, he bought the material and.
Yeah, so I mean, they're not all like that. The funny one that I do remember of doing an interior job before.
Is this the installation story?
Is we had some people come up and they wanted me to do the interior in their car, and we're talking, going through everything and talking about it, and I asked about like what they were planning on doing, because they were going to do they were doing the build. I think it was only an interior job, and what they were going to do for installation. He's like, "Well, I'm just going to go down to Lowe's." And
no, we told him we could sell you this and put it in, or you could put it in. He's like, "Oh, that's just too much money."
Yeah. He goes, "Well, I'm just going to go down to Lowe's and get some insulation." I'm like, Lowe's has insulation now? Like, I'm thinking automotive insulation.
Yeah, the peel and stick stuff.
Yeah.
We're thinking, wow.
I'm like, wow, I didn't know they had that. And he's like, no, I'm just going to go get some of that pink stuff.
And put it in the doors. And we were just like, it's like that, froze speechless.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't do that. And he's like, why?
And we just like,
you can't, like, there's so many reasons why you can't do that.
The window mechanisms. Oh my God. So we ended up not doing that interior job.
But yeah, the stories that I could tell, we could be here all day.
So about that time, you worked at Hooters in Peoria, an hour drive.
So we were in the shop, and I was looking through a newspaper, and I seen an ad that, they're building a new Hooters in Peoria. I'm like, man, that would be really fun. I would love to be a Hooters girl. And Tim says, you can't be a Hooters girl.
I did. Wrong thing to say to Carrie.
Challenge accepted. Interview on, went down, hired. I loved it. I had a great time.
You worked for like 2.5 years. We're still friends with a couple girls you worked with. Me and my buddy Curtis would go down almost Friday night, and the Hooter girls would hang out at our tables. We thought we were cool.
Yeah, it was fun. Best story about working at Hooters. I have 2 stories about working at Hooters. First one being...
This is PG rated, Carrie.
This is PG rated, 100%. So first one, this 13-year-old kid is at a table with his dad and some other people, and I come walking up to the table like, "Hey guys, what can I get you?" And the kid, he wasn't 13, he had to be 8. Kid looks up and he goes, "You with the straw," and I just was like, "Oh my God!" Like, kids. Second one is your grandpa.
No.
So,
which was a preacher.
He was a preacher.
And for years growing up, he wouldn't even go into a pizza place that served alcohol.
Yeah.
My grandparents would not go into a place that they didn't drink, but they didn't go in some place that served liquor.
So your mom and dad and you, there was a big group of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all came down, it was a round table. I remember exactly where it was
by the door. I remember where we were sitting.
And we're sitting there, and the look on your grandpa's face was priceless.
Well, there was a girl that dropped something over here, and she bent over. Grandpa, I don't know, at that time, he was probably 80 years old.
Yeah.
Couldn't see very good. And he looks at that girl, bent over him, and he leans at me. He goes, shouldn't this girl be wearing something over her underpants? And I go, Grandpa, that's their shorts. That's their outfits. He started laughing and laughing.
Yeah.
And he goes, I like this place. Grandpa.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Good
So,
times.
yep. So those were some days.
Yeah, so I have stories about Curtis.
Yeah.
We can't tell. And
No, it was fun. I liked it. But about 2 to 3 years at that is good. I was like their mother.
You got to be the old chick.
I was the older one. Yeah, I had
because you were like almost 27, 28 at that time, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Some of the tips were amazing. Tips were great. Anyway, let's go on.
And then we started getting busier in the shop, and you were there. And then you took another job, one of your first other industry jobs. You worked, and we forgot about this the other day. You worked for 2 or 3 years for Justin at Scott's Hot Rods when they were still in California.
I did. I was the Midwest sales rep for them.
Had a dedicated phone line, an extra line brought into the house. You would work booths and trade shows and stuff for them. And
back to that whole situation where somebody can't tell me I can't do anything. We're Big Tone. We have so many Big Tone stories.
The truck driver at that time for
so they would it started out, they were parking their rig at our shop when they were in the Midwest. So that's how it all started out. And then it evolved into me being their Midwest sales rep for them and dealing with that. But there was one time that I
miss Big Tone.
I do too. That my mom and I took the truck and the 48-foot trailer and went to Pennsylvania for a show.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, you're going to drive that trailer? Yeah, I ain't scared. And then I remember we got out there, and I don't know if any of you have ever been to York, Pennsylvania. There are some side streets out there, and we got down some of these side streets. And I think Sev was like, he didn't think we were going to make it. Like, we picked him up, I think, somewhere, hotel or someplace, and we're getting the truck and trailer in, and he's like, are you going to make that? No problem. I got this. But yeah.
Trailer, I wasn't there, but the trailer didn't come back with any more dents than it had before it left.
No, my dad's a truck driver. I spent my years in the seat of my dad. Well, I say in the seat, but I normally, when I went with my dad, I was in the bunk in the back. I would fall asleep, and I'd go back and sleep till we got to the destination. Then I'd get out and pester everybody, and then go back in and sleep till we got to the next destination. Anyway, back to Scott's Hot Rods.
So after Scott's Hot Rods, I think about that time I got back into BMX racing. You never raced as a kid. We talked about that you would go, and did you want to go back to the original, one of the first times you remember me racing as a kid at the state qualifier?
When you were slower than that girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you ran over.
Michelle Herman was really fast. You Midwest boys, you remember Michelle Herman from Freeport, Rockford area. She was fast.
Yeah. So Tim was slower, and
she was too fast for the girls' class at that time, but she didn't race expert boys. I was an intermediate then, and she raced with us intermediate.
Lily Campbell.
She was like a Lily Campbell. Yeah.
But Tim ran over her arm and broke
it. She beat us all to the first corner. All us boys, more than me, got beat by Michelle Herman, and she slid out in turn 1 at Orion.
Mm-hmm. I was there,
and I had nowhere to go. I ran over her arm and
jumped her.
It was not that quick. The bunny hopper. I probably, in my mind, I probably did, but I ran over her arm and it broke her arm. And I got to be friends with Michelle. My buddy took her to prom through the years, and every time we were hanging out in the pits and joking, and she's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Break my arm again?" So yeah. Carrie remembered that. I was a guy. But anyway, we got back into BMX because after redoing our 54 Chevy the second time, we did like 30 some events in 1 year. And I was like, we got to have a break from the hot rod world. So I was like,
it was a lot.
We're not ones to sit around. I'm not going to golf. I don't fish. So I was like, I'm going to get back into BMX. Like running the track and up in the Quad Cities. And so
we went up there. Bill decided, like, you guys went to an indoor race in Peoria.
Yeah, Bill Holden.
Yeah. And you're like, oh,
Bill and Donna is the one that talked us into going out on our first date. Yeah. We're not sure if we're happy or still mad at him, but yeah, Bill and Donna Holden, Holden Automotive Machine got us to go, and I got buddies with him because we bike raced growing up, and we both had the idea to start racing more. Well, then Donna got pregnant. So that didn't happen.
Knew he was coming.
Yeah. And then, so I started racing the Quad Cities. I don't know after how many months Tiffany started going and racing. So we raced with Tiffany. Our niece at that time was young, and Carrie would holler, "Go pedal, go, go, go!" And Tiffany got mad. If you think it's easy, you do it. And Carrie tried practice one night, went to the first jump and fell over, and didn't get back on the bike for a year.
Mm-hmm. But during that time, Tim thought that he could still jump, which he could. He just couldn't land.
I can't land gracefully.
Yeah. So we were at the track one night during the week, and I was over behind the bleachers talking on my phone, probably to my mom. And I heard this big thump and thud, and everybody took off running. And I get over there, and he hit the ground.
That's true.
And John Whiting gets on the phone to the hospital immediately, says he's coming. So I pull up over there. They're ready for you. We go in, contact both your parents. My mom and Louie come up. Your mom come up.
I'm thinking we're just getting a cast and we're going home.
Tim asked for some water, and they said no. Guess what? That means surgery. You're going for surgery. So 2 surgeries later.
Plate and 9 screws in that baby.
Yeah. That was in the summer. We had that red and gray car.
We had the Malibu Max.
The Malibu Max, because we drove that to Salina that year. I remember that. But anyway, during that time, after 2 surgeries and an extended hospital stay, probably need to look for a job with insurance if we're going to keep doing this. So I applied for a temporary position at in Osco, Illinois, where they make fireworks. I don't know if they still do, but they used to.
I think they do.
At Advanced Biological Concepts. Funny thing is, I went in for the interview, and HR lady and the lady at the time that was overseeing whatever department I was applying for, which I don't remember what I was applying for, but I didn't get that job. And 2 days later, I get a phone call from the HR department, and Heidi was the lady in there, and the lady that didn't hire me because she was afraid I was going to take her job. Like, and it 100% Kim. I still I remember who she was. And Heidi went to the owner and says, "Look, we need to get this lady in here." So I came in, started answering the phones at that time. And then I worked my way up to plant manager.
Which you ended up taking Kim's job.
Which I did end up. Well, no, because she was in a different department. She did something different, but I went above her. I loved it. That was something I never thought that I would be into. Organic feed, healthy living. That was nothing that I ever did. Jim Helfter was one of the best bosses I've ever had to date. He taught me
best job
stuff.
You had to date once you got in there, and your benefits. And
yeah,
that? What was that you got there? What was that? Vacation. You got vacations there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was. And I didn't realize it till later. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize what they're being taught and what's going on around them. He pushed me to limits that I didn't know that I had. And believed in me, 100%. It was crazy. And it was the family.
First guy that called you out about your trouble with keys and keeping them organized, because they had to have the keys to lock the door. If Carrie lost her keys, because she was usually the last one to leave, the boss had to drive from 40 minutes away from home and come and lock the thing up. So they made this thing, a hook in the office, and it was other managers' jobs.
Whoever was the last person to leave prior to me had to make sure my keys were hanging on the thing before they left.
She still sucks holding.
And the thing is in Osco there was 8 different buildings, so there was a lot of keys. So it was a lot to keep track of, and it was crazy. But yeah, no, it was I worked for them up until when we moved, and even after I moved, I stayed with them and did marketing, and actually
you still did some trade shows and stuff with them when we went down here.
I built their website. I did a lot of different things within that. Actually, Heidi called me last year and was asking me questions about the website, and Jim has passed on. Gwen is still there. I don't know who else is all still. Heidi's still there apparently. But it was good. Like I learned so much from him that I think about every day.
Now there's more technology. You could probably work remotely for them.
Yeah. That's all I need. One more job.
So BMX, after your first try, it took you a year. And
Yep.
then normal carry fashion, let's just jump all the way in. Within a couple of years, there was 2 sanctions back then, ABA and NBL. Now it's just USA BMX. And you, for 3 years, were state commissioner with a board and traveled and did all the state races for 3 years because you just can't sit and enjoy yourself at the BMX race.
Joined the board and loved the sport, loved to see it grow. Board was struggling, so I jumped in with both feet. Had some amazing people on the board with me. Sandy, I went fishing and I got Suzanne hooked, and Rick Molinterno, he got on the board during that time. We had an amazing state series. Like,
people don't know who Rick Molinterno is.
Standard bike.
He's in the Hall of Fame for the BMX.
On Rad.
He was in the movie Rad. We went and seen it a couple weeks ago. Was on Hutch and Haro back in the day. AFA champion. Now runs Standards BMX. He builds our standard BMX frames. So having Rick on the board, something like that. And he doesn't do a lot of interviews. He is committed that...
well, he says he's going to do it. Not committed.
Yeah, but we're going to get Rick on here, and because some of these will be BMX podcasts too. So,
yep.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. You still suckered Suzanne in because she still helps you at events today.
I know, she loves me.
And in 2007, you made the U.S. team. We went to Canada with Tiffany.
Yep, Tiffany made world.
She got 5th in her semi, missed her main event by 1 spot. Was she like 11, 12 around there? She wasn't 13 yet.
I can't do math.
But anyway, she got 5th in her semi at the World Championships. Never raced another lap. That got into all the school sports. Her family didn't really understand BMX, but we half raised her, so we had her so much. People at the BMX track just thought she was ours. So as you can imagine, Tiffany's just a little bit twisted and a weird sense of humor after hanging out with us all the time.
Yep.
But at the Worlds, then you made the main and got 5th at the World Championships for your age group. That was pretty awesome.
I did.
And you were still on flats then.
Yep, I was on flats.
I still think you should go back to flats.
I have been. I've been practicing on them.
In 2017, you qualified for the U.S. team again. The World Championships was in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yep. You
made it to your semi, right?
No, I went out my quarter. Yeah, that was some tough competition. Shannon went out in her quarter too. I mean, there was fast girls.
And she
there.
trained
Shannon
her butt off.
Won a couple laps. So yeah, it was crazy. Like, Worlds is no joke.
And you planned on going to the Worlds. Was going to be back in the U.S. COVID year, and they canceled it. It was going to be in Houston.
Yep.
Tried qualifying this year, but now it is the cruiser class for the ladies is 40 and over. So you're racing quite a bit younger girls, and you missed it by a little bit. If you raced like you did last weekend in Louisiana, you would have made it.
Maybe.
But we're saving a lot of money because it's really expensive to sign up and wait for the Worlds.
I went to the World Qualifier that had the most amount of people there.
Yeah.
But whatever, Worlds is going to be busy. It's going to be the fast people. So I just wasn't prepared. I didn't go into it prepared. I went to, I had a work event I had to be at, and I was in the desert for 10 days, and I was tired. I had every excuse in the world. So it wasn't meant to be. But yeah,
also with the BMX, it was like, oh, let's start a team. That team got so big, we won the state championship for the team competition a couple times, had good battles with 2 or 3 other teams. It was always awesome. State races back there were more fun than maybe not more fun than the Worlds. More fun than going to normal nationals. We had parties, year-end celebrations, costume contests at Halloween, and it was a lot of good times. But our team got as big as 35 riders, had families on it. We bumped up to factory level in NBL when anybody could be factory because they paid good money, and we would win some regional and a few national. We would place in the money and give the money back to the kids to pay entry fees and stuff. So again, not just hanging out, enjoying riding our bike. We were setting up pit stall, pop-up tents and all that, but we had a lot of good sponsors through the years, still do with standard bikes. And
So my
profiles helped
favorite,
us, and now we have
my funniest and my favorite.
Let me.
No, this is my interview. You gotta
try to plug our sponsors,
I know,
Carrie.
we'll get there. So we were running a state race in Springfield, Illinois, and Tim was on the track in first, all by himself.
No.
Yes.
It's my wreck. I was passing a guy for the first. I was in second and slid out.
Slid out in the last turn by himself. I'm the state commissioner, and I'm like, dude, get up. We got a race to run. So he gets up and walks himself off the track, gets behind the scorers at the finish line, and pretty much collapses. Jim Weiss came over to me. He was assistant. I don't know. He was on the board, and he looked at me and he's like, I think you need to take him to the hospital. I'm like, he'll be fine. Just let him sit there for a little bit. He'll be fine.
Basically, rub some dirt on it and get back in there. Is what
somebody else came up and was like, Carrie, like it'll be okay. Just take him to the hospital. We got this. So I listened to him. We get in the car. We go to the hospital. Thankfully, we went to the closest hospital, which was there, that had the trauma unit at the time, because he had punctured his lung, broken some ribs, punctured and collapsed lung. Spent an extended stay at the hospital in Springfield for a week
with a tube stuck through my side.
Yeah, that was so. Since that day, I have never raced without a chest protector.
Well, I raced with big elbow pads since I broke my arm, and that's what I did. I fell just real quick, slipped out, didn't have time to get arms around it, and I pushed that elbow pad up in and broke those ribs right there.
Yep. So I ordered a chest protector sitting in the hospital that week, and I have never raced without it. I have forgot once. We were in Morristown, Tennessee, and I got in the gate, or was getting in the gate, and I realized I didn't have it on, and I backed out. I will not get in the gate without a chest protector. So, anyway, go ahead and talk about our sponsors.
So we've had great sponsors. We got into BMX, as we do. It was like, oh, let's start a company. And it's like, at that time, we were doing Snap BMX was our co-sponsor, which they made cool anodized hot rod parts looking BMX parts. And if I was going to build BMX frames, I'd do exactly what Rick and Jess is doing. Chromoly, you can order custom. I've almost got permission to order an OS 20 from Carrie. Almost. And so I'm glad we didn't do a BMX company, because there's no money in BMX really. And no money in hot rods either. I don't want to. We can actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't want to, like, everybody, the automotive world is a lot of people's hobby. It's our livelihood. I don't want to make BMX our livelihood because it takes the fun out of it.
Yeah,
so I want to have our stress relief. Otherwise, we got to find something else to do for fun.
And then we've had Kicker.
I don't like to knit.
Kicker Car Audio's been on since the beginning. Boys gave it a lot of products and sound stuff for Riders of the Year and merch and headphones and pit speakers and stuff. So it's great.
Yep.
Over 20 years, we've been running our team, and Standard Bike Company and Kicker still got our back with that.
Yep.
So it's awesome to be part of good programs. We still race a lot of the kids. We haven't really put any new people on the team for a while. We miss our core group of kids that we traveled with all the time. And I know it's hard to believe. Our car people don't believe it, but when we went to the Worlds in 2007, Chase Crawford's parents signed over legal guardianship to us, so we could take him out of the country. Official paperwork at customs and all that stuff. And we took kids all over the place. And when all those kids kind of retired, some of them now are starting to have kids, and they race a little bit. In the Burks case, the kids quit racing, and the dad started racing.
Yeah.
So, we probably still have, 8-10 people that are still riding. We missed the kids. One of the famous BMX people now that gets all the press is Miss Kitty from Des Moines, Iowa. A lot of you guys know her. She was on our team for quite a few years. Got to know her because Iowa didn't have a state series, so she'd come to Illinois and run.
I never did. There was times that I couldn't beat Miss Kitty.
Yeah, Miss Kitty beat you.
Has been racing for so many years, and I remember when we first started racing, her and Joni, I could not beat them, and I would get so mad. I'm like, I need to be able to beat them. She's older than me. She was good. She's
been on her bike a lot
longer.
She
has. Miss Kitty is a rock star.
So Miss Kitty has been on the Steve Harvey show for a whole segment back in the day with our Strange Motion and Kicker jerseys on. She's been on CNN, MSNBC, every news network. When she goes to big locals, the local news is there. They usually do interview Miss Kitty because you think you're too old for BMX? She is 75. She just had back surgery this winter, and she's had both knees and both hips done. And you Midwesterners, you know road bikes. She does ragbri. That's like it's all the way across to Iowa or something like that, isn't it? Like
I
it's
think
a
so.
big road
Yeah.
bike race, and she does that almost every year. So we were at the Grands one year. One of the last years we had a big team pit, and we're sitting there eating our Thanksgiving dinner because it's Thanksgiving. We eat at the BMX track because it's that whole week we're there. Only BMXers understand that. And we're like, so we only had like 8 people sitting there. Zizzos were there. It's like, should we start adding new kids
Stephen
and young
Bobo.
kids? And Miss Kitty's like, well, I need to hang out in the pit with kids. She goes, I'll talk to kids, but
You should be telling her story and her secrets.
it was
Sorry,
like nice,
Miss
and we could take a nap in the
quiet.
pits, and
yeah, there wasn't a bunch of screaming.
And we all agreed we missed the old kids. We don't need new ones. So at this time, we've not really added when kids retire. It's kind of cool. Kids that raced for us 18 years ago, we'll still hear from them, and holidays and stuff like that. So yeah, that's our stress relief.
One of the fun stories that we have also, and then we'll move on because this is not about just BMX. We were in Morristown, Tennessee. We always did a year-end party. So we always, had Rider of the Year and Most Improved and Most Recs and all that fun stuff. Our parents and our team put together a wedding for us, and they made us marry the team and say that we couldn't leave them. They got us rings, those really
little
cool
gear rings.
And they did us a wedding ceremony and had these speeches, and they did this thing that, because they were so afraid. It was right after we moved to Tennessee, and they were so afraid that we were gonna stop and do other things. So they made us marry them, and now they're all gone, and we're still here. So Herman's, Tritz's, all of you guys that aren't riding any Zizzos, come back. We miss you guys.
Miss everybody. So it's hard to believe the car people that they say your kids let you take them. So this year I got this from one of the past rider parents. Says, you guys have been one of the most positive experience in our kids' lives. You probably hear it all the time, but I thought I'd share it again. That's pretty awesome. I brought a tear to my eye that day. I thought we were just teaching them dirty jokes.
Well,
we did that too.
We did that a lot.
Okay.
Moving on.
So you started doing upholstery. Your mom and stepdad ran an awning business, so you kind of grew up around that a little bit. I don't really remember you much sewing there, but you'd be there though, so you just kind of would see what she does.
Person over in the corner.
And your mom was.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why is that happening?
She'll never admit it, but your mom is an amazing seamstress.
She is.
The awning business, the boat covers, the seats. She would help us on some hot rods, bitch and moan the whole time. That's just your mom, but she's retired now. But your mom is an amazing seamstress. I mean, those lines of that big table that they had when they were out in the country when they bought the business.
Yep.
Those big. I mean, it looked like she would sew a mile.
Yeah.
And just be perfectly straight. So.
Yep.
And so
tarps,
helping
awnings.
me in the shop when we were dating, when I was building my 54, we kind of jump around in the time frame here a little bit, but you decided, I'm going to hang out with Tim and help him with the upholstery because I think I can do this. But that was back in the tweed days. Don't you miss the tweed days? You could wrap a basketball with that with no wrinkles because it was just so easy to work with.
I don't know that it was so much the choice that I made. I think it was more of a threat.
Well, we weren't married.
Kind of remember him saying, well, if you want to be around me, this is where we're going to be.
Why wouldn't you want to be? Why wouldn't you?
So I'm like, oh, you're so dreamy. Okay.
Very small town. There's not a lot of choices.
So
that's why we didn't have kids. We still think we might be cousins.
Yeah, my grandma swears that we're related. But
we always say we grew up one step away from Amish.
We both were not raised to be lazy at all, and we've never been afraid to try anything and do anything.
And we've never had money to hire it done.
Yeah, we've never had money to hire it done. So if you want it done, you're going to do it yourself. So I had a sewing. I remember sitting everything up in your mom's kitchen, my home sewing machine, and sewing tweed for our 54 the very first time. Like, it was so crazy.
And that car was done in 93, 94.
Yeah. That was the year I graduated. It was 93.
We actually drove away from that car from the church in Altona when we got married.
Yeah.
You did take some night classes at Carl Sandburg in Galesburg.
I did. I took a few, but it wasn't so much automotive interior, and I hate to do house stuff. Like, I've done some seats, some chairs for a couple of people, and that's not like there. It's no, we're just not even gonna go there. I hate it. But I did take a couple classes. That's what they focused on. So, I learned more from my mom on the sewing stuff and what I needed to do here and there, and then trial and error and videos. Sid Shavers back in the time was doing a video series. He is still an amazing upholstery person. Everybody now goes to YouTube. I went to the
VCR tape and his book.
Yep.
And through our good buddy at that time, Steve Anderson, still a good buddy that worked for Good Guys. He got you hooked up, and you could call Sid, and he'd call you back with a question, and that was just amazing. And I still see Sid to this day, and I was like, man, and he remembers you.
Yep.
I don't know if that means you had a lot of questions or what.
Like, this person is never gonna make it.
Yeah. But then you worked, did upholstery there for at first, just cars we were doing full in the shop. Some cars we did, they went to other upholstery people and stuff, but you did a lot. You actually, and you started doing upholstery, just doing upholstery. We touched on that a little bit ago.
Well, I started.
You did a truck that got top 5.
Yeah,
truck of the year.
Started, and we're not going to name any names. We're not going to say anything, but there was a truck that we were working on that went to the upholstery shop, and it sat forever.
Oh,
and you were the customer, went in, and there was like stuff piled on top of it. It was already painted, stuff piled on top of it. It was scratched. It was this, it was that. And we're like, you know what? This is ridiculous. We're going to do this ourselves. So that's kind of what started the whole thing, for a real situation. And then, that's what started it.
Yep. So you've been a part of a lot of stuff at the shop.
Mm-hmm.
In 2002, Good Guys does an award called the Trendsetter for young and upcoming people. You always get left out of it now.
Because nobody believes
there's
it.
20, they've been doing it 20 some years. Mm-hmm. The Good Guys Trendsetter Award.
You probably can't see it.
Can you see that?
You can't see it.
But it actually says Tim and Carrie Strange on there. And I think we're the only, you're the only female in 20 some years that co-win the Trendsetter. Unless Alan and Angie Johnson might have. I don't know. But Carrie has got a Trendsetter Award.
My name's on the trophy.
She gets left out of the listings and stuff now when they put them in the magazines and do the award at SEMA. Mm-hmm. But we both went on stage. I gave a speech and she didn't.
Oh, how could I? Your speech was epic.
Yeah, Gary Metters kept one step, he kept getting ready to grab the microphone from me. So.
And that's when everybody realized that Tim had the gift to gab. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then also, that was 2002. In 2016, we went to Columbus that year with your Corvair. We built you a custom Corvair.
Yep. So here's the story on the Corvair.
Let's back up.
No.
Years before, we built you a Speedstar. You used to have long hair. Mm-hmm. And I kept saying, you can't have a Roadster. A Speedstar is a fiberglass Roadster that Bobby Alloway and Rat's Glass built together and sold the bodies. And she wanted a Roadster. Mm-hmm. Well, you were working at the Broderie place in Galesburg. She comes home with her hair all whacked off to her shoulders at that time. I was like, well, I guess I'm building a Roadster. That was 2001. It was in Street Rodder. So every once in a while, we'd always build a car for ourselves, but you've had a couple. Then you wanted a Sunbeam Tiger. Well, they were too much money for.
You gonna tell the story, or are you gonna let me?
This is part of me too.
Gift for gab. It doesn't ever stop.
No, we don't have the money for that. How about a Corvair? So then she's like, oh.
No, you didn't say how about a Corvair. You said we can't afford that. So then I started looking at little cars because everything that you did was monstrous, barely fit in the trailers.
It's true.
Inch. I'm like, I'm going for a small car. So we started looking around, and I'm like, oh, Corvairs are small. They're kind of cool. So we started looking for a Corvair.
But in your mind, you just wanted lowered with wheels Corvair.
I did. I wanted a stock car, maybe a little lower, maybe a paint job, maybe an upholstery a little bit, tweaking the upholstery just a little bit. I wanted a fun driver, something that you could jump in and drive anywhere you wanted to go. And that is what I got. I love it. It's a
fun driver.
It is a fun driver. Now,
I don't fit in it. I look like Herman Munster,
which is even better,
or Mr. Incredible. I think I look more like.
Which today's Easter, and you know what we're going to do today? We're going to drive a Corvair. I'm going to drive.
Are you taking it to the junkyard? I got to go get parts at.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so I forgot. You interrupted me. I was going someplace with that.
I don't know. It's your interview, you said. So I'll just.
I know, but you interrupted me.
We
I
built
was
you a
gonna
Corvair.
say-
We built a full chassis, put the motor in the front. It's got a V6.
Oh, so the Royal Purple, the Corvair, how it got done and when it got done and why it got done. So we're driving someplace. I had entered a contest, and it was
I'm not sure you haven't told me.
yeah. So it was what's her name? She served for Royal Purple. She's passed away from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, they were doing a contest for Royal Purple about having your ride at
Females,
SEMA.
women.
Yeah. So I signed up for this thing in like January or February. We are driving to a show someplace in the truck, and I get a phone call, thinking it's June.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's like, "Hey, we picked you out of this contest, and we want you to bring the Corvair to SEMA." And I'm like, "Okay. Hey, Tim, guess what? Do you think we can get the Corvair done for SEMA?"
Sitting in the shop on mock-up blocks with dummy wheels, no chassis, no fab,
Yeah.
still original paint on it,
And
the
you're
floor
like,
all cut out.
"Yeah, why not? Sure we can." So in June, we started the crunch, the SEMA crunch, to get it done, to go to SEMA, and it got to SEMA. I had a wonderful space with Royal Purple. We had a wonderful dinner. We had a wonderful time at SEMA. We worked. I even won a contest from Brad Fanshaw. I remember working in the shop, and it was like gift cards. Like every contest that I tried, I won. I remember what that was. Something. I remember getting the gift cards, but it was while we were in the shop working on the Corvair to try to get it to SEMA. Yeah, that's how the Corvair got done so quickly. And
we had a lot of great company supports from Fat Man to Rytec to Budnick to, was it still DuPont then? Her Exalta.
Yeah.
And of course Kicker and Dakota Digitals and B&M and Holly and Hearst and MSD. And just everybody stepped up because Carrie's car is going to SEMA.
Yeah.
And Carrie picked the color.
I had the color.
It's light purple. She gets mad if you call
in
it pink.
my mind as soon as we decided we were going to do it. And I couldn't describe the color because I hadn't seen it anywhere else. But it is purple. It is not pink. Some light it looks white. Some light it does look pink, but it's not.
When it was in Super Chevy magazine, and that was the name of the story. It's not pink.
But I love the car. I drive it. It runs wonderful. I can get in, fire it up.
It don't fit me very good at all. I don't want to be in it longer than an hour trip because then it fits you perfect. But that's what I did. I built it for her. We set it up for her. It's channeled and full chassis underneath of it, so the seats are right on the floor.
Yeah,
got a 59 Impala
so much
dash
fun to drive.
Yeah.
So I love it. I did figure out that the fuel gauge is off. I figured that out the hard way coming home from Nashville Good Guys show.
It runs out when it says 1/8 of a tank.
Yeah. But as long as you know that, you're good.
She blamed her builder. But I don't know if that labor bill's fully been paid for. The interest is amazing.
It definitely has been paid over and over and over again.
Big bill.
But I am driving that car this year on the FM3 road trip. It is going to be around our area, and I won't be hauling all of the stuff from stop to stop. I mean, I will be, but we're going to make this work. I am driving it on the FM3 road trip. I will not autocross it. I am not an autocrosser. I enjoy the sport, but I don't need to do it myself because if anybody has ever seen me go-kart race, you will know why I don't autocross.
You drive like an asshole in a go-kart.
I've bit through my tongue. I've hit walls. I've gone through walls.
We'll try to bring up the go-kart driving story when we get to who you work for now, because that's an epic story. Okay. So at Columbus that year, Good Guys, we had your car in the Royal Purple booth, and Carrie receives the Ladies in Autosports Award. This is one of her coolest awards she's ever got. Sits on her desk every day. John and Julia Aschenberg give this out. They run a Ladies in Autosports magazine. So Carrie they pick one lady each year, just one each year, usually at Columbus.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do it at a different event and get a feature in the magazine.
Yep.
So Carrie got the ladies, and I think it's such a cool trophy.
It is a super
the
cool
little,
trophy. Very
yeah,
honored.
yeah.
I was super excited when they started doing that. That was like one of my dreams. Like, that would be so awesome.
And that was our rough time because we come home from Des Moines, lost our best buddy Nitro, our Rottweiler.
Yep.
Had to put him down that week and then go to Columbus. And then
almost
she got that
didn't
award.
go. Yeah, almost didn't go because that was a rough week.
Yeah.
But that was awesome. Very cool.
And so, of course, we're living in Tennessee then.
Mm-hmm.
We came to Tennessee because I got a TV show.
Yep.
And we'll touch on that. This is Carrie interview, but we got these. I was there 16, 18-hour days during the week and a few hours on the weekends. Didn't work a whole lot on the weekends because if the cameras weren't there, then they weren't going to use the filming stuff. We weren't supposed to be there doing stuff that the cameras couldn't catch if something cool happened. But she was always part of all the builds, whether you did the interior or not. So when we did these builds that I'm talking about to her all the time and the unveilings, she wasn't allowed to come in the TV studio. And we're like, what the? Can I say that? I can't say that.
No, keep
what the hell?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, the sibling or wives, spouses, kids aren't allowed to come in. So after about the second, when you were getting like really depressed during that, and I finally just said, Carrie's coming in.
Yeah, it was.
So you're behind the scenes, but you were there for the unveilings.
Yeah, I would go to the dinner, which I thought was really funny because the very first one that you guys did with Loctite, they took you guys out. You did the unveiling at the studio, and then everybody went out to dinner that night. And I will never forget sitting at that table and one of the owners looking at me and saying, "What are you doing here?" Mm-hmm. And I recall 100% the lady from Loctite spoke up and said, I invited her. It was just a really weird situation at that studio. So nothing bad. I have nothing bad to say about them. The way that they chose to run their business was their way and their beliefs. But hot rods and automotive, cars, it's a family sport. And like what they were doing for that show was a family feel-good thing. Mm-hmm. So it was just a really weird situation. Season 2, I spent hundreds of hours going through the applications because there wasn't anybody that had the time to do it, and they had to.
We currently have a cat behind the screen.
One of the things
on the table.
Disaster. But I spent lots and lots of time going through all that because they needed somebody to kind of go through them because Tim had to pick them of the next one. It was the end of season 1. I'm sorry, not season 2. And I got extremely depressed. Like it was a lot of
sad stories on them.
There's a lot of people out there that needed help, and reading those stories over and over and over again, day after day after day, it was something. So thankfully, towards the end of the season 2 or in season 2, they would allow the spouses of the guys that volunteered their time, because originally they weren't allowed either. No. They allowed them because these guys are coming in on their own dime. They allowed them to come in. We were behind the scenes. So that was good that we got to be kind of part of it because we were part of it anyway. A wife is a support system, or the spouse is a support system for them guys. And Tim would work at some points around the clock. So, and we gave up our house. Like we had people staying in our house every week. Multiple people.
There was one week we had over 10 people staying here because they didn't pay for hotel rooms for the volunteers. They got good press. We could talk about their shop, but I could not mention Strange Motion. Mm-mm. I was a hired host at that time, and an upholstery person backed out last minute, and they're like, "Hey, Carrie, would you like to do the upholstery?"
Yep.
And even though she was going to volunteer her time, get all the products that she was going to use donated for free because the TV studio didn't have any money, they would not. I go, okay, how's this going to work? Because everybody, other volunteers, got to wear their logo, their shop shirts, and they'd give them a little, Jason Anderson from Claremore, Oklahoma. Jason was on there a lot of times. Mm-hmm. This is what Jason does. And they'd show pictures of stuff that he done to give him good press. And got a lot of guys, a lot of business from it. And they're like, well, you can't have Strange Motion on the show because of the conflict with me being the host. It's like, well, if I'm getting all this, I'm doing all this work. So obviously, short story, she didn't do the upholstery because Strange Motion wouldn't have got any credit from it.
No.
So.
No.
That's the censored version of that.
Yeah, but it was a good thing. I don't want everybody to think that it was bad.
No, I don't regret doing it.
Everything
it
that
neat.
we did, it moved us to Tennessee,
yeah,
which is the place that I always wanted to be. I came down to Nashville as a freshman in high school for cheerleading, and we still go back to Gaylord every year. And I always go back to those steps and be like, "Oh, this was the greatest." And I have stories. I knew when I moved, or when I came down here, then I wanted to live in Nashville someday.
And we always came to the BMX National.
Yep, I love the track. Track is one of my favorite ones. Unfortunately, we do live a little too far away from it. But Nashville was always a place we wanted to go. So this it was a stepping stone for us. If that show would have been any place else in the country, we may not have done it. I don't say we wouldn't have done it, but we may not have done it, or we may not have moved there. You might have went
and came back.
But it was a stepping stone for us. It opened a lot of doors. I don't regret him doing it. I don't regret the move. We kind of wish it would have happened sooner because we love Nashville. I always wanted to be a country music singer and a star, and someday.
But somehow she sings. It sounds like somebody stepped on the cat's tail.
I mean,
it does. And when you sing, it scares the cats out of the room.
Didn't I say, if you tell me I can't do something, watch me?
I'm still waiting. You be a country star. I'll just live on the beach. Carrie sings so bad when we were dating. We went to Great America in Chicago, and you could go. I forgot about and you could sing. You could pay, and they'll give you a cassette. You kids, it was a cassette. It was before DVDs, or the CDs. And so you sit out front and you listen. And we sat there, and I
tried so hard. I put everything I had into this song.
It was some country song. For some reason, kids at Rova were country, and I don't remember any kids listen to country. We were like punk rock, hard rock and roll, heavy metal. Kids went to like Def Leppard and Motley Crue shows, and Rova was country hillbilly. I don't know, they're 15 minutes apart. But we're sitting there, and she sang some country song, and I don't know country. I still don't. And we finally went up and says, are you not going to play my song? In her mind, she's thinking, oh, it's so good. It's already in Nashville at somebody's desk getting a contract.
We heard the song play, and we're like, oh, that's weird. Somebody else chose the same song I did.
And we probably made fun of it. Yeah. But then they're like, oh, here it is. You missed it. So, okay, we finish our day. We get in the car, put our cassette player, tink, in the car. And here comes Carrie singing. It's like, what the hell? We laughed until we cried. We have to find that. We have to dig that out.
I know where it's at.
What was it? A George Strait song?
George Strait, Across My Heart. Why I chose that song.
Carrie thinks she's a baritone or whatever is.
Let's keep going. Okay.
Well, while we're on that, that's another thing we like to do in our spare time. We love live music. I'm not a country music fan, but we love going to concerts. My sister was just down on spring break. We went downtown Nashville, walked around there's amazing musicians trying to get their start down there. Mm-hmm. And I'll go, I've seen who's the guy that looks like a thumb with a face? Who is that?
Garth Brooks.
Oh, yeah, Garth Brooks. I've seen a couple times. He does look like. Okay. We've seen Reba. You're sitting there crying all these Reba songs that meant so much to you and your dad, and you're like, you know that? No. You know that? No. Oh, I know this one. Yeah, it was the theme song to her sitcom, which was a good show. It was funny. But we'll go to punk shows together. And Carrie's, you've not seen George Strait, right? You've seen it being about everybody. We've seen where people come in. We've been to the Grand Ole Opry the first time we went last week with my sister. All these different shows. And I've seen Nirvana, Soundgarden, all these punk shows. We've seen Smashing Pumpkins 13 times. We're going next month with Chris Bryan for our 14th time seeing Social Distortion. Next week, this coming week, we're going to see Circle Jerks, Adolescents, and Descendants. We've seen Pennywise. We had a Pennywise tattoo. Dropkick Murphys. We've seen a lot of shows. That's what we do. We like to go to live music. Mm-hmm. But back in the day,
let's wrap this up. We're like an hour.
You can do 2 parts. It's okay.
People don't want to.
You can edit it. What was you said until we seen Pink now? Mm-hmm. At that time, who was the best show that you ever put on that you've seen?
Marilyn Manson.
It was. We seen him. It was the first show after the Columbine when he shut down because people were protesting him, and we went to Madison, Wisconsin, and that was the stilts and the fire and the flames.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Stuff.
It was
okay.
Insane.
So we're gonna move on.
Yep.
You have this weird thing on your phone. I'm not a high tech person where it's like cartoon versions of yourself. Mm-hmm. and it's like the happy birthday, or you're doing whatever, you're holding your cat, and these little cartoon things. Well, I don't know what it is.
Memes.
And for some reason, about 3 years ago, it sensed. The first time I remember was in Nashville. Was it before that?
No, it was. So what happened was, we go to Rock Hill a lot.
Okay? Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
I crashed a lot at Rock Hill. I don't know what
broke a couple helmets there.
Yeah, but there was a couple years ago. I was going through a year of crashes. Like everything I did, I fell. Everywhere I went, I fell. We went to Alabama, and in practice, another guy came out of the gate, and like I almost died. Like had it not been for the fact that it was first practice in the morning and the grass was slick and I started sliding, Old School came. He was the first one there, and he's like, "Oh my God, you got so lucky that the grass was the way it was." But I just had this year that everything was going not so well for me. And we went to Rock Hill, and on the way there, my memes started changing, and it had my cartoon me, in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And every time I would talk about either racing or doing something that is a little sketch, that meme would come up. Like, it's not on my phone all the time, but
it changes your daily whatever to like you in a wheelchair.
It's scary, and I will never forget. Like, we got there, and I was talking to Delaney Vaughn, and we were parked next to him, and we get out, and I'm telling her about it, and she's like, I think I'd take the weekend off. I don't think I would race. But I did good. Like, Friday and Saturday, I did fine. Sunday was another story. I went flying through the air. That was a bad one. It actually came up on my memories the other day. But yeah, so every once in a while, randomly, my wheelchair meme comes up, and it's a little weird, but it doesn't stop me because I'm not afraid to live, and I'm going to die someday. So it's just creepy. Every once in a while, I'll send it to people, and they'll be like, "Why are you in a wheelchair?" Apparently, God's trying to tell me something.
So on your list here, which says you want to talk about tacos because you love tacos.
Yeah, who doesn't?
I didn't love them when I was a kid, but you made me. It's just easier to let Carrie pick where we're going to eat, and it's going to be. We ran on a parts run on Friday. Where are we going to eat? Just whatever. We went to Chipotle because.
I don't know. I have always loved tacos. We didn't have them all the time. I mean, and I worked at Taco Bell, so maybe it was.
At the stock car races, when we weren't dating then, but we were friends with everybody, and Bill was racing and other friends. You and your dad would come in with a 30-pack of tacos.
Yeah, remember they had those like cases of tacos, and you'd like travel around and you could just eat tacos everywhere. Yeah, I love tacos, and that's no surprise to anybody. So we don't even really need to talk about that a lot. But yeah, tacos are my thing. I love them. Christmas trees. I love Christmas trees. I'm not like a freak on Christmas. I don't really care about. I just like the trees. I love.
You like the season. We're not big. We don't buy presents.
My
big.
Cats love them. Like,
yeah, they do.
All of our cats, I've always loved them. I don't like to take them down because it depresses the cats. The cats don't bother them. They come up. They sit under them. They look at the lights. It's just cool.
Yeah, we have a kitten this year. He got a bulb or two off a little bit.
But he's still, like the one that was in the second one that we had in our living room. He would sit underneath that tree all the time. He absolutely loved it.
And it lists costumes. You love to dress up. We're usually at SEMA. This year we're home for Halloween. We're usually in Vegas for Halloween, and that's a trip. So we have dressed up as
Halloween to have a costume on.
I've been Willy Wonka. You were an Oompa Loompa. 1 year we were Shrek and Princess Fiona. It took us a couple days to get the green paint out of our ears.
Yep.
I've been Woody from Toy Story. That was the year we went as they were closing on Halloween night and bought whatever they had. So you were, you were Wilma from Flintstones or something. You had I was Woody.
Yep. So I love themes, and I love to get involved with themes. Like a couple of years ago, we were decided on Hot Rod Power Tour that we were going to do theme days. I was the only one that participated. 110 degrees in Memphis. Everybody remembers Memphis, how miserable it was. I was in an Elvis costume. the entire day. Even the medic said every time we got called over to registration, we thought it was going to be you. You were going down. I wore it all day long. I don't quit.
We went to see an 80s concert a couple years ago with
epic.
Tone Loc, Kid and Play. Vanilla Ice was the headliner. So we dressed up in neon tracksuits. And then we walked around downtown Evansville, Indiana.
Yep.
Like we were doing an album cover shoot. We got all these epic pictures.
It was awesome.
In a neon. We're not furries, though. We just like to dress up in other costumes.
We do like these events for Holly and Bowling Green, and we have a Power Wheels downhill challenge, which is epic. If you've never been there, you got to come do it. I dress, and they have a theme. You're supposed to have a theme, and they do this costume thing.
She usually crashes. Last year you didn't.
I didn't. But I either crash or I win. It's one or the other.
And I'm never there. I'm at another event.
So great.
Else.
But
was last year you bubble wrapped?
No, last year I was in the sumo suit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the year before I was a bubble wrap. But
and Chad Reynolds, it's recorded on a video.
Yeah.
Chad Reynolds, the MC. Here comes Carrie the fat girl down. It's like, did he just really say that?
He did.
He's brave.
But we do that. We do a mullet contest for Mo Party, and I go all out.
Okay, well, we've had
Ford
all
Fest,
of this. Nobody knows. What do you do now? You're talking about these events that you do. What do you do now for the past 9 years? So
9 years ago, I was coaching cheerleading. We didn't even talk about coaching cheerleading. So I was coaching cheerleading in Murfreesboro, and I did that. Carrie Fashion, jumped all in. I was doing the stuff at the studio and reading all that stuff, and decided I was getting depressed. I wasn't around anybody because Tim was at the studio all the time. So I went to Craigslist. There was an ad on there for assistant cheerleading coach. I applied, started doing it. Again, jumped in. I'm now coaching at 3 different places, head coach. I think I had at one point 8 teams. We went to nationals.
All the way to Vegas.
We went to Vegas. That was an epic trip. But where was I going? I completely forgot what I was saying. Oh, what I do now. Okay. So Jimmy Day from FM3 Performance Marketing had moved down to Tennessee. That you had met him originally when you were announcing autocross. He was there with Optima Batteries.
I called him Cone Killer Jimmy.
Yeah. But him and Saroja had moved down to Nashville, and he had reached out to you and wanted to come down. He was just kind of doing shop tours and seeing who was all in the area and getting to know everybody. And he came down that afternoon. It was a Wednesday afternoon. We're sitting in the shop talking. I made a comment that I would be interested in possibly getting a part-time job if I could sit home and pet my dog all day. I didn't want to have to go someplace. I didn't want to go to a facility and work. I didn't want to drive in Nashville traffic. I leave. They leave them at the shop. I'm leaving cheerleading that night, and Jimmy calls me, and he's like, "Hey, were you serious about possibly wanting a job if you could work from home?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd be interested." So he's like, "Well, we might have a part-time job for you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Say that time. Part-time.
Yeah. So the next day I get on a call with his partner, Wally Olzak, and Wally's like, "No, it is not." Amber worked for them at the time. She had put in her notice. She was going to go back to Ride Tech. And so I got Amber's job, and they kind of dispersed what she was doing out to different people. And she was doing timing and scoring and stuff for Ultimate Streetcar. Adam took that. But yeah, so I work for FM3 Performance Marketing. We run
my dad
automotive.
thinks you just work for Optima Batteries.
Yeah, nobody knows. My mom has no idea what I do because we're so diversified. We do so many different things. We run rig programs for Optima Batteries, QA1. We've got a couple of new ones coming out.
Some of these people are BMX people. Optima Batteries build batteries for cars and motorcycles now.
Yep.
And they have 2 rigs crisscrossing. So if you're walking through Vendor Row at an event and you see an Optima Battery thing, it's an FM3 worker doing it. And you guys do that. And QA1 suspension, which one of our BMX kids, Stephen Palumbo, did the booth for quite a few years and traveled.
Yep.
You guys work with Motor Trend hand in hand.
Yep. We run Hot Rod Power Tour for them. We've been doing that this will be our 9th year doing that.
Which there's 2 Hot Rod Power Tours now.
Yeah. They do Roadkill drag race in Woodward. We've been doing that for several years. Last year they did the Dodge event out in Las Vegas.
Where they helicoptered that car in?
Yep. That was insane. We do the Holly events, so LS Fest West, Texas. East, Mo Party, Ford Fest with Pro Media.
There's 3 LS Fests.
Sorry. Yeah, Pro Media. Yeah.
So you do
3
Vegas,
LS Fests.
Texas, and Bowling Green.
I just said that.
I thought you missed one.
No, I said that.
Okay. You're talking really fast.
I know, because it's almost been an hour and a half. These people are tired and they're falling asleep, so I'm trying to.
I can pause it and come back.
Okay. So yeah, we do what we do. There's a lot. There's Ultimate Streetcar. Search for the Ultimate Streetcar. It used to be on Mav TV. I'm membership director for that. I got that phone call from Jimmy one day too. It's like, hey, you want to do something really cool?
Jimmy's a good salesman.
He is a great salesman. So a membership. But the one thing I do want to talk about with FM3 is FM3 Road Trip. Jimmy started this, and I believe it was Schmitty's idea originally, dealing with Brett, talking to Brett, and they all got together one night, probably drinking, and said, we should do a week-long, 5 cities, 5 days, autocross in 5 different cities in 5 days. And so we started it. We started talking about it, and we decided that FM3 wanted to do a charity event, give back to somebody that needs it. And we started
usually in the autocross community.
Yeah. Started doing the FM3 road trip, Cars and Cones. And it is my favorite event of the year. If there was only one event, or if I didn't work for FM3, I probably would still do this event. It is phenomenal. Like, it is no competition. People come in to learn, to have fun. And if you don't want to autocross, you don't have to. Like, it's not a requirement. There's no rules other than you can't be an idiot. But it's a charity event. So you get donatable offenses if you are caught being competitive. And people that come on this trip.
Or speeding, or you get a ticket, or it's just.
Different stuff.
Like you went to this, and I was like, okay, it's just another event. It's crazy. And you can't explain this event. Chris Ryan did it the first time last year. And at the beginning of the week, he goes, these aren't my people, because he's a diehard custom lead sled dude.
Right.
It's like, dude, these are some of the best people you'll ever meet from all walks of life, just out there having fun and raising charity. Not everybody has money, but some people do that come. And I mean, you guys have raised a lot of money. And like, luckily we know a lot of people in the industry, so we can call buddies up with hot rod shops and private collections and get in there. We went to George Poteet's collection one year. George is I'm sitting beside him in the back of his pickup truck. They're doing all your games and stuff outside at night. He is laughing his butt off. He goes, these are the craziest people I've ever had here. Same thing. Next year, we go to Goolsby's, Jonathan Goolsby's place. He goes, I had no idea. He had tables set up in his shop. He put it all out for everybody. And he's laughing. He goes, this is the most fun group I've ever seen come ever. And Jonathan does a lot of events.
Yeah.
And it's just, you guys have done a lot of stuff like that. And
it's super cool.
Companies, if you want to be a part of it, reach out to Carrie. They raise a lot of money. Each year they raise between 20 and 1 year you did $30-some thousand for the recipients.
Yeah. It's awesome. We have a great time with it. But that is my favorite, hands down, my favorite event. Low key. It's a lot of fun, doing great things. It's just awesome.
So registration's open.
Registration is open for that event. We are getting ready hopefully this week, to announce exactly everywhere we're going. We've already announced that we're going to Ben Smithson's for our kickoff on our registration. He's announced that already, hasn't he? Announced that. We announced it last week. So we are going there this week. Hopefully everything else is going to fall into place. We'll get the hotel information out. But people have already signed up. Registration's already open. It's $500 for the week.
One of the first times you guys did this. This blew your mind. It blows my mind too.
Yeah. So we were in North Carolina at Charlotte, and I think
it's capped at 100 people. There. So there was almost 100 people there.
We had 86 people that year, drivers. And Jimmy was doing his drivers meeting, and he asked everybody who is not autocrossed, and half the people raised their hand. It was crazy. But, and a lot of those people, we have people that have been on every single one. So they just keep coming back. And the people that have signed up, we've got people this year that have signed up that have never done it before. And then we have our people that have signed up that do it every year that won't miss it. So it's the best. Like, it is so much fun. And like I said, there's no rules. So if you want to come in for the day and you don't want to go do a specific activity that we're doing, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. But I guarantee you're going to want to be around these people. You're going to want to partake in it. We tour different places.
And you're not autocrossing every day. What are you guys are 3 days of the week? And then tours and scenic drives. And
this year we're actually going to cut it. We're only going to do 2 days for sure. We're still working on one other opportunity possibly, but it's so much fun. It's so worth it.
I like the parts of going.
And the best thing is we're helping people. Like, we're all together to help everybody. Let everybody learn. Let everybody learn how to autocross and not criticize. And this day and age, that's what everybody wants to do, is be better than somebody else or criticize somebody else. And that's not what this group does.
Chris Ryan was the fastest, and he'd never autocrossed. But then somebody rode with him.
Because he was cutting the course. He did get that is a donatable offense. So,
but he had a blast. He's coming back this year.
He is. Yep. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be great. This year it's October 13th through the 18th. We're going to end it. I'm just going to say it. We're going to end it in Tennessee as well. On Saturday, October 19th, my birthday, is Columbia Motor Alley. They do their Cars and Coffee.
Mike Wolf's place.
So we're going to have a bonus because we're going to get an extra little stop because Mike Wolf is having his Cars and Coffee that day. So
then after Cars and Coffee,
we're heading to Memphis to go see Social Distortion. But yeah, I didn't talk a lot about FM3, but these came up on the FM3 road trip. Some wonderful people created them. There was a Carrie Strange fan club, a Jimmy Day fan club, and a Brian Mason fan club. I have reordered my stickers multiple times because everybody wants them and they're very popular.
I give you a hard time. Did you just order your own fan club stickers? But I guess I order my own Strange Motion hot rod shots. The same.
Exactly. Thing. That's right. So hashtag Carrie Strange fan club.
And those were the Carrie Strange fan club logo was actually drawn on a T-shirt for a big event that was this Carrie Strange fan club on the race car.
It did.
It was pretty awesome.
It did. I actually seen that picture the other day.
It's weird because I do race announcing. We're not normally at the same event. That's why it's cool to interview her because she does a lot of stuff that I don't even know. Because sometimes I'll be on the East Coast, she'll be in Vegas doing an event, and I'll be announcing an autocross, and some guy will pull up in front of me, stage up, and I'll look up and it'll say Carrie Strange fan club sticker right on there. So I have to take a picture and say, well, your fans are out here too.
Yep, that's right. But no, so I am currently working at FM3 and running registration. I have done a lot of work trying to help make the events run smoothly on the registration and ticketing side of things. We actually just launched a new ticketing platform this year, which is working really, really well.
You've built websites for some of these events. Yep. I never had a computer class. I don't know how you do it. Like you said, you built the website for when you worked for the horse feed company.
Yep.
Registration. Some of these people you meet at these events are the most awesome people you ever meet. But if you want, it's like be there for vendor check-in day, not only at the registration girls, but when they park the trailers and the rigs. It's like going to a job interview and they take you to a restaurant to see how you treat the wait staff as how you are as a person type of thing. There's people I've watched vendor check-in at certain events, not just events that you run, but events that I announce at. And there's people that will never get a penny from me or my clients because they're just entitled, spoiled, think they're better than everybody else. So when you go to these events, be nice to your people. It'll go back in the long run better for you.
I mean, it is a car show. And
you didn't really, our first thing, have you ever had a participant spit on you? You have.
Can I plead the fifth?
You have.
How about
allegedly she's had somebody
raise their fist.
A man raised their fist and tried to swing at you. Somebody jumped on the table. A cop got that guy. I mean, there's people who get escorted out for events. I don't understand what their problem is. They should just stay at home in their mom's basement. But
that's a small amount of people. No, there's so many great people out there that I've also had amazing people bring me iced tea.
Unsweet iced tea.
Unsweet iced tea.
But my thing is, even at the events that I go to, if you some of these events have tens of thousands of people at them and, 7,000 participants and stuff like that. And a whole bunch of spectators. I always say, if you deal with 1,000 people, 3 are going to be assholes. The rest of those people might be the most awesome people you ever met. We've met some amazing people, BMX and hot rods and working registration and running events. But 3 of those people out of 1,000 make you hate people. It's not everybody. They make it very bad.
Very difficult. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is they think, we come in and we set up these events and we have these plans, but what they don't understand is we also have plan A, plan B, plan C, because things are going to go wrong and things are going to happen, and we have to plan for that. Like, we don't just come in and make one plan and everything's going to go this way. It's got to be, okay, if this happens, we got to do this, and we've got to be prepared for that. And that's how you can tell where some of your events are better than others, is by the amount of planning that goes in. I'm on conference calls every single day, all week long, all year long. The funniest thing that everybody says to me is, oh, it's January, it's December, I bet you don't have anything to do. It's the busiest time.
You're working like 70-hour weeks right now.
We are all on the phone planning and organizing and preparing to make the events, regardless of what happens, go smoothly and go good for everybody. And there's going to be things that are going to come up. There's going to be rain. We can't control that. It's not our
sewer
fault
leak.
That
a drain backed up.
Yeah, that
the porta potty's overflowing onto the racetrack. I mean,
and we have to do and make the decision of what is best for the majority, not just one specific person. And it's not always our decision. We have clients that we have to please, and they have bosses that they have to please, and there's a lot that goes into it. It's just, people just don't get the big picture. They see what's directly in front of them and what's going to affect them personally, and they don't. And that's everything. I mean, we're just not about events. But it
is. I mean, I show up. I'm just Ron Burgundy at the events that I go to. I'm just the announcer. But the stuff that I see and hear on the radios from big car shows to racing events to whatever, it's like, really? I was at an event, and over the radio, some guy pulled a gun over a parking spot in the show car area. One guy punched somebody. It's like, are you serious? Why are you that negative of a person? Yeah, you're at a car show. Crazy. It's not that serious. People are going to win and lose. You're going to get upset. We're not brain surgeons. And I've never understood people with egos in the industry. It's car stuff. It's fun. It's awesome. We get to build cars and play with cars for a living. It's stress. And it's, to the big world, what we do is just weird. Most of our family just think,
they have no idea.
You go back and see family.
My mom is starting to.
Oh, you still messing with old cars?
Yeah,
kind of am.
I've drugged my mom in and made her start working some events. And actually, the one event that you were talking about that the guy wanted to punch me, he went to my mom first, and my mom is not like, she's not somebody you mess with either. And he's like, "Are you in charge here?" And she's like, "No, my daughter is. She's over there." And the guy comes at me, and like, he was fit to be tied. And everybody's seeing everything, and yeah, and she's like, "I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you put up with these people, but I don't know. It's what we do." So my fault is I'm way too loyal, and I won't say no. That's my fault.
You say no to me all the time.
Well, yeah.
Talking about something else?
Yeah. Oh. But I'm like, I like to, like, I will, never, I'm not even going to go there. Okay. Yeah, but we are on the go all the time. I don't know how to not work. I don't know how to say no. I don't know how to take time for myself unless I'm racing. So it's like, go, 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 go. I don't sleep very often. Like, I normally get up at 3 a.m. and I'm, like, the other day I was out in the garage building racks for flutter flags. I'll be the first person that will volunteer to jump in the truck and trailer and drive it to Detroit because we can't find anybody else to do it. I put a lot on my own plate, and I know that. That is one of my faults, and I am trying to work on that.
See, that's why I was trying to be part of your program. I have anger issues. You always wanted a recliner, and I go, I wouldn't. For 3 years, she wanted a recliner for the living room to chill and relax, and I go, no, because it encourages sitting.
It does encourage sleeping.
So I bought her a diamond ring for Christmas that year, surprised her, got it sized, shipped it to Scuba Steve's house.
Hey,
the cat's getting stuff over there. The cat is
attacking my stuff.
And surprised her, and we did Christmas before our family came that year. I gave her this ring. I'm like, wow, jewelry. And she's like, oh, thanks. She puts it on. And I say, she didn't even take a breath. She goes, get ready. We're going. Where are we going? I'm going to buy my effing recliner.
Would have saved a lot of money if you would have listened to me. So, all right. I think an hour and 38 minutes is enough time. So let's wrap this up. And you'll get to talk to me again and ask questions. And
she's going to be part of
We'll
more.
see.
When we started recording some of these that we haven't put out yet, she was just like, I'm not going to be on it. Well, now she realizes she wants to help and be on it and help interview. So you'll hear some stuff from Carrie. And sometimes it might not be a guest. It might just be a 20-minute episode of us telling a story. We got to do the one when we went to the cat show. We went to a professional cat
we
show.
need to talk about the cat show.
That was amazing.
We're going to do some just road tripping on the way to a BMX track, or maybe it's on the way to a race or a car show. I don't know. We've
got a lot of funny stories.
And if you guys don't like it, we don't care. We're just going to talk to our friends and talk to people and have fun. And this is my way of sitting down. I've sat still for an hour and 30 minutes. That's a record.
Yeah, we've got a lot of funny stories of stuff behind the scenes of things that have happened in bike racing and traveling together for all the years. So I want to thank you, Carrie, for being part of the Strange Motion podcast. And thank you for being part of my life and telling me what to do every day, because I wouldn't know what to do unless somebody told me to go to the shop now or make you dinner or did you clean the cat box. And we got to do a podcast about the new powered podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Carrie Strange, Tim Strange here.
Yep.
The Strange Motion Way podcast. See you later. The Strange Motion Way podcast. That was Carrie Strange from the Shop of Strange Motion, my sidekick, and Hot Chicks with Low Standards. Tune in next week with Chris Ryan, 2-time Hall of Fame custom builder.
So we invited Chris back to our hotel room.
Don't tell people that.
I was just kidding.
We did. We recorded it in our hotel room.
In Salina, Kansas in July. So stay tuned for Chris Ryan next week.